I'm Margaret Ann Windsor, daughter of King Edward VIII and Claudia Ruth O'Keefe. My dad never married Wallace Simpson. She married an impostor. There were several. Their behavior was attributed to my father, and over time, people believed it. My mom was Queen. She's from Madison, Wisconsin, sister to artist Georgia O'Keeffe. My father would not follow the orders handed down by the Illuminati, your mafia, your world mafia, your Freemasons. So they took him out, and my mom out with him. Except he had made arrangements, and they're legal, that should he have an heir, the heir would inherit. I was born in 39, and I've put all this up, pictures and etc., in papers. And Larry Flint was shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia. I put that up because I ran in a campaign, actually, and Mr. Flint had been shot. I was writing about mind control and program shooters, the Tesla files. So where am I going with this? The book I wrote was very important. Very. I didn't know it was going to lead to anything about. I knew I was telling about. I work for doctors. I was telling about putting chips in heart bypasses, in root canals, and sealing it. That's done by your dentist. But this is back in '76. Mr. Flint was shot in '78. I'm in a campaign because one of the doctors I wrote about, U.S. Congressman Dr. Larry McDonald, was supposed to have gone down in the KAL, been shot down from Aurora, Colorado. Excuse me, James Holmes. That's a mess done to this innocent man, too. He was programmed, and he's put in a mental hospital when he's not mentally ill. You have to deprogram him. He didn't ask to be programmed. You talk about civil rights, this would blow the... And it should be told. It has to be told. It's not going to stop until they tell the truth, and the press needs handcuffed, their asses hauled off and put in prison because they have deleted the truth. They've known it way, way back before my father was taken out and I was kidnapped, and they certainly know all about it since then. And they have hung on to their jobs, which is controlled by the Illuminati. Now, I'm going to skip this and go to this right now. You can go back and look at my YouTubes and Facebook. And I'm afraid, live in fear, somebody's going to knock at my door and that'll be the end of me, or I can hardly hear because now my ears already ruptured from the air quality, bacterial pneumonia I had this January, be a year ago. I'm not going to go into all that. I put it up how I've been made to live. I have an autoimmune disorder, allergic to chemicals. What I want to tell is, again, Michelle Obama, this time she's on CBS. She's been on NBC for the last three mornings, and she's all gussied up and everything. And she's going to tell everybody how they should vote and live and all that. This time it's, what's her name? Ms. King, who's best friend to Oprah. If the truth about what I've been telling, my kidnapping and the mind control murders, and about Martin Luther King partnering with JFK, and part of the stuff was about mind control and calling it mental health. It's a murder weapon. And James Holmes, for the Aurora, Colorado shootings, who was programmed, he didn't know he was going to shoot. He didn't know he was being programmed. He didn't get a chance to say, oh no, that's against my civil rights. It was imposed upon him. He was put in a mental hospital and given psychotic drugs for a person who's psychotic that tortured the hell out of that man, or young man, for something he didn't do, just like in Ventura, California, etc., etc. So I put all this up. Now, I want to get back to, what's her name? Carole King, CBS, Oprah's best friend. If the truth is forced to be told finally, how is Oprah, who just went to Georgia and gun-ho for electing a black governor. Okay, all she has to do is wave her hand, and the media and the press and the photos are all there. So is Mrs. Obama. While she kind of trashes the First Lady, Mrs. Donald Trump. Thank you. And she's a nice lady, believe me. I know she is. I may not know her personally, but I know she's a nice lady. How would you explain all this, Michelle? You and your book and flouncing around up there, and it wouldn't look good if finally the book I wrote about, and was almost killed how many times. I've put it all up there. Had a letter from the FBI, flown out and ran to Larry Flint's, who had been shot by a program shooter, as in George Wallace of Alabama. This has nothing to do with race here. George Wallace was a good man. He wouldn't sell his soul. You can't tell me any different, because I know who he was, and he was shot by a program shooter in Laurel, Maryland. Now, I was kidnapped and brought over here, and any civil rights me and my sons Mark and Scott ever thought of having was disposed of a long time ago. Martin Luther King was a part of it, this great civil rights advocate. And Reverend Andrew Young, who was appointed by Jimmy Carter, the governor, then president, as to represent the United Nations at the UN, which is your global government that came to be after they took my father down, Edward VIII, because he wouldn't sign the they were illegal treaties that had been signed that allowed the United States to go in as friends in saving the United Kingdom, which it was all bull. They took out my father. They brought me over here, and the real heirs, Mark and Scott, which I pray are alive and well. My book was never published. In fact, it was in Bert Lance's bank there on Windy Hill Road. And suddenly, after all the hell that I'm skipping over because I've put it up, past, this has been a narrative of my life, trying to get as much as I could up, because no law is, anyone's ever paid for their crimes. Okay, as bad as things got for me, and this would be 85, summer of 85, I paid the safety deposit box. It had a certificate in it. It had a copy of my book in it. I had two. So I don't know where the other one is. I didn't pay the rent on one small one. It wasn't there. It was at another bank, Bank of the South, I think. I can't remember. But this one, I had all of it in, had it for a while. It was across from Urban Medical Hospital, where I worked on Windy Hill Road in Marietta. Okay, I had two letters from the FBI, one handwritten from Agent Guess, the other one from the U.S. Attorney, ongoing investigation, national security involved. I thought it was because of the book, and in part it was, because it was telling about the doctors, it was telling about the Tesla files, mind control. You can cure an illness or create one, which, AIDS, Ebola, and you take it off to South Africa and pretend you're their friend, Reverend Young. You're the ambassador put up there by Jimmy Carter, don't you know? In Bert Lance Bank, where I had the book, and it was taken out in after I'd paid, kept it up all those years as hard, and what was going on with me, I paid it. You didn't even send my money back. I got a letter saying, and I was in Knoxville at the time, I got a letter from the bank saying that it was removed and put where it was safe. That's the last I ever heard of it. It ain't no more. Now, Reverend Andrew Young was with Martin Luther King when he was shot in Memphis and killed by a program shooter, by the way. They don't mention that. JFK helped in my kidnapping his father in 41, along with Elizabeth's father, my own uncle, who was appointed king. The Illuminati can just say, take the real monarch down and replace him with his brother, who's a crook, and then Elizabeth's illegal, and they're part of the they're way up in the Illuminati, and there was 300 of the upper crust in the global government, which is now United Nations, out of New York City, Rockefeller headquarters out of New York City. They control your press and everything. And now then, Andrew Young was put there and went to South Africa so many times under the Carter administration when he was president. Now, where am I going? They took my book out of Bert Lance Bank. Bert Lance was on the staff way up with Jimmy Carter when he was president. Bert Lance was put under investigation for, I don't know, remember now, you can Google it easy. Anyway, this is all going on. And isn't it strange that their books, Stormy Daniels' books, has just been promoted by the media here, Mrs. Obama's, and you let Oprah just go out the door, and they're all gung-ho in photographing her. Can't wait to interview her. Oprah can't wait to interview Meghan Markle, who married Harry, and they're illegal. She's biracial by the, I wanted to say, and they're playing the race card. This whole thing is playing the race card, and they'll turn around and say, you're prejudiced. The hate crimes involve what you've done to me and my sons. And so help me, God. I hope there's a God and there's justice in this. I hope this whole mess, because you haven't even heard one inkling of the truth that I've put up here on YouTube and Facebook. It is so horrific. And you can sit there and call me names. I didn't bother to put things up. I put it up before. And to watch them being interviewed, Mrs. Obama, and to know that if she doesn't know about me, her and her husband, they do believe me. And by the way, I want to get this in and I'm going to stop. I hope it's told, and the only person that can do it is God. Now, you all believe in God. Now then, where was I going? I was going to tell something else here before I go, and it slipped my mind. I had to get that in about God because nobody else can do it. It would take this whole... Okay, I will put this up. President Trump, you want to drain the swamp? If I could live long enough to tell it, it would be drained real quick. I promise you it would. I'm hoping you're the good guy, okay? Your uncle, John George Trump, was accused of stealing the Tesla files, which I was writing about. I had no idea you were going to be president. Any of this was going to happen, that I was writing about mind control that led to me being kidnapped, telling about it, and my father finding out about it, and running in a political campaign, and all this stuff. So I've just been deleted from history. My sons. And you call hate crimes? What do you think has been done against me and my sons in my country? And you talk about race. I wasn't prejudiced. I'm still not. But I'm not stupid anymore. I've felt the anger and hate toward me on both sides. And I'm going to leave it at that. Okay? That's it.